So this is the outfit that we, or Celia from the Spanish team created. It's a beautiful knitwear outfit with a skirt and a beret. And yeah, we will focus on this knitwear part here, and also to get the patches in, and also these lights that you can see here. I hope I can share you how this looks then in the end. But for this, I have to turn on the render. Let's quickly do this, because some things that we are creating here today are not visible in our 3D viewer, but only in the render, like lights and fur. And also displacement for the patches. It takes a while because knitwear, the new knitwear function, the realistic knitwear, is actually quite heavy on the computer. This might also be the case for you. This is something I cannot change, sadly. So here you can see here in the 3D window, it's invisible, but here actually there's also like a light cable running, and it has some fur, and there are also these trims that have a light material on there. And this we will create. Okay, so far so good. This is the only thing that I wanted to change you. Now you can follow me if you want to follow me. You can also just watch the whole time, and then yeah, do the watch the recording, and then you can do it on your own later. But yeah, feel free to do it however you want. Okay, so I want to yeah, good question. Here I just see it in the chat. The knitwear texture, or the knitwear function, was enabled, I think, in, correct me if I'm wrong, Konstantin, 2024 version. Previously, it was not there. So yeah, this maybe I should have mentioned before, that you would need a newer version for this. But yeah, if you don't have it, maybe you can just watch and then follow at a later stage. Okay. Skill Up Knitwear Start is the file that we want to work with now. So please open this. And then I can close my library. I'm always opening and closing this with the letter Y on my keyboard. 2024.1. Yes, thank you. So yeah, so far our outfit is a little bit empty. It has everything there, but we want to focus on the materials and the patches. And yeah, some patches are already applied, like these trees here, and these little patches for that we want to put the lights on later. Yeah, the folder, it's so in the training folder, then it's located in Skill Up Knitwear Materials. And then in the Skill Up Knitwear Projects folder. And there you have two files. One is final, what I was showing previously, and the start file. The patches are not made with pressure, no. I think this is just the thickness that you can see. Okay. So far so good. So we have some materials here on the side that are already applied. The first thing, let's work on the actual knitwear material. So basically how it works, I mean, probably you are advanced users already. You know how to change the type of the material. So for example, if I go to this 2x2 rib, it is at the moment just this material. and I go here into my property editor after I clicked on the fabric, then you probably know that you have a type here for the material in the material section that you can select from. We have multiple materials here. As you know, you can change it here to a shiny fabric, to fur, and so on. And when you apply these, also like here in the end, it says some things like, as I said, fur or light materials, they are only visible when you turn on the render. That's why I showed you this in the render before. In our case, we now want to go to the last option here, and this is called Knitwear. So maybe it needs a bit of time to load for you, but you can see that the material here of the collar directly changed to this knit, because this is actually the first preset that we see when we select this. So trying to get everything here in the window so you can see. So I will go down from top to bottom as always and explain you what the functions are doing here. So important to know is when you select these, actually every loop that you see here from the knitwear becomes its own 3D mesh structure, kind of. So it's not a map anymore, just an image that kind of fakes the look of the knitwear, but it's actual 3D geometry. And that's why also, because every loop here has its own texture, its own mesh, it becomes quite heavy on the computer. This is still a super advanced or like super difficult technology to achieve. I've seen that someone also from, I believe Stoll is here watching this. They know as well that, yeah, it's super hard to do. It's basically a hardware problem at the moment. Still, a lot of researchers are trying to make this easier for everyone to work with in 3D. But yeah, it's very difficult to achieve this. So that's why, yeah, your computer can run slow on this, and yeah, it's a heavy task to do for the computer. Okay, so back to our material. So the first preset that we have here, so when we have selected knitwear, below the next thing here in knitwear is the stitching type. And here we have a few presets that you can use to create these. So far, you are bound to use only these. You cannot create your own at the moment. I think our researchers are also already trying to develop more of these presets, or an option that you can make these yourself. But don't quote me on this. I don't know if it's coming out soon, or I don't know, just in 1 year or something. So far, you only have these presets. We can quickly cycle through these if you want. So the first one is the garter one. So it looks like this. Then we have a stockinette. It's all English. For me as a German, these are also not common names. Maybe you have more knowledge of these because in the companies you work in, this is a common knowledge of knitwear. To me, this is a little bit new. So reverse stockinette, seed, looks like this. Moss is this knots kind of. Then we have a 1x1 rib, a 2x2 rib, and a 4x2 rib. Different results. Then we have a cartridge belt rib. It's a little bit thicker. And we have the honeycomb preset. In our case, we wanted to go with, or the fabric is called 2x2 ribs. So let's go with this one and select it. So another thing that I need to tell you is that this function is only a visual thing. So you can make super realistic looking knitwear, but you cannot, because clients asked me this before, like in training or in demos that I was giving, like, okay, can I now export this and directly feed this into a knitwear machine from, I don't know, Stoll or Shimaseki or something like this? This is for the moment also not possible. So it's just visual. It's cool to like plan something, but if you want to actually go to production with this, this is not possible yet. Maybe in the future, I don't know. Hopefully it's available in the future. So only visual. Good. The next section that we can talk about is the yarn thickness. So the yarn thickness here for this preset from RIP is set to 2. And we can change it here. We can change, for example, to 1. So you can see that the thickness of the thread here or the yarn got thinner. If I pump this up to 5, the yarn gets super thick. Yeah, actually, a good question, Greta. This is so far only possible in CLO, and you cannot export this to somewhere else. But yeah, hopefully in the future they can find a way to export this. I think also our knitwear researcher is working on an option to export this. So yarn thickness. So let's say I put this to 0.5 millimeter, I guess. The next thing that we have here is the gauge, and this is calculated here per inch. And this is basically the tightness of these loops. So you can see if I change these, the lowest is 1, then it's, yeah, it looks super rough here. And the highest is 16 for the moment. This was also recently changed. Previously, it was only possible until 12, I believe. But I think this is also in relation to the yarn thickness. So if I put this down, I change this yarn thickness up to, I don't know, 4. And then I can still pump it up to 16, okay. But you have to be a bit careful with this because the higher the gauge setting, also it gets heavier on your computer. But yeah, I believe like these gauge settings from 1 to 16 is like the amount that you would normally use in the industry. So for the moment, I think this is good enough for us. So when working with this, so you have to find a balance for yourself between the yarn thickness and the gauge, the tightness of the loops or the, yeah, how tight you pull the individual loops, kind of. Quite easy. It's only 2 sliders. The next one underneath is the knit direction. So because also some clients ask us, it was previously not there, hey, I want to change the direction of the knit to a certain degree. So here, for example, if I put this to roughly 45 degrees, you can see that the angle of the ribs are now also changing to give you a specific effect. Or sometimes if you are working on sleeves or something, maybe you want to have this, or in a specific section, if you want to have this raglan sleeves or something, there it could be quite useful. So you can put in all kinds of different things here. Yeah, so knit direction, quite self-explanatory, changes the direction. Default is 0. Okay, then underneath we have the options for the apply amount. So the number of yarns and colors that we can use. So for this, we can select like from only 1 ply up to 6 ply. Here it's by default set to 4, so that's fine for us for the moment. So we can start here now to work in our file, and we can click here on the ply color, and then we can start to select some nice red colors. I would go with some darker colors, so it looks like the one from the final project that I've shown you before. So like this, for example. If I then say apply enclosed, you can see that I also get this kind of melange effect, which is quite nice to have, I think. So if you wanted to create something with this melange effect, I don't know, like make it gray, and here we make it a little bit yellow as well. And I don't know, just a little bit of green. You can achieve these effects by coloring the ply amount. In our case, I don't want to do this. Actually, how I'm coloring these a little bit faster is I just click here on the second ply color on the little color tab here, select my red color. You can also differentiate a little bit between like more red and a little bit more orange, maybe select the dark color. And then I would only say here apply instead of applying close, so that the window is still open. So apply. And then I would click on directly onto the next tab here, then select the next color that I want to have. Maybe a little bit more red, like this, apply. And the last one here was the green one that I had. This should also be maybe something like this here. It's a little bit too dark. Like this. I need to change some other colors so it's not that dark here. More red than dark. So, and by doing this, you can see that you have a little bit of an irregularity here, and that makes it look a little bit more interesting. You don't have to do this. Mine is now a little bit like a camouflage almost. You don't have to do it as drastic as I did here. Yeah, however you like. Okay, then the next thing here from our settings is a tab called, let me make this bigger, it's called randomization. So randomization you can have on or off, and you can see it here directly. So now all the plies are basically like copied. It's always the same. The pattern is repeated by the colors that you set in, and by clicking this or activating this randomization, then you can see that it gets more irregular with the colors, and then again it makes it more realistic. You can change the factor here, how much you want to choose it. This is by %. And then you can also put in a specific seed if you wanted to. If you want, basically the seed is like the randomization seed that you can select here. This will then change a little bit more or less. So also quite good to have. Then there's a tab here for me here. This is, I need to open this up by this little arrow, and that is the yarn variance. So the yarn, if I zoom in here really hard, you can see that every loop or every yarn thread here has a little texture. And by applying the yarn variance, we are kind of doing something like the randomization melange effect here, but only for the texture of the yarn. So by doing this, it's only a fine detail. It changes. No, actually, I said something wrong. It's changing the yarn variancy. So like how big the loops are, or how big the yarn from the loops. So you can see, not the texture, sorry. Irregularity off. All the knit structure becomes more even. more like it's, I don't know, super crazy machine knitted, super detailed, super, what do you say, super good repetition. And when I press here irregularity, then the threads become a little bit looser. So it looks more like you, I don't know, knitted it by hand, for example. Then you also have here some options on how much variance you want to have again for these irregularities, more or less, and then how frequent you want this to happen. So like in every loop or on in every scale here, or centimeter, millimeter, and or a little bit less. So I would do probably something that is not too crazy. It looks a little bit irregular, but not too much, so that it looks like it's nicely knitted from a professional knitting machine, for example. This is what I would like. Okay. Yeah, there was a poll question that Konstantin sent in the chat that you can quickly answer. There are 5 of them in total. It would be nice if you can answer them. Some of the poll questions, again, have optional answers, like, yeah, please refer or like tell us this in the chat. Or if you have a different, I don't know, answer, then yeah, you would see it. It would be nice if you can do this simultaneously. 3 things now: listening to me, doing it yourself, and answering the polls. Okay. Next option that we have here is an option very good for pilling. So you probably know what pilling is. So it happens basically if you have short fibers in wool, and you have like if you would rub with your hand on top of it, it would create these little pills, these little balls on top of it, which normally, generally speaking, is happening when you have a lower quality knit. But yeah, this is because of the short wool fibers that then are getting abrasion, is it called like this? And then they are knotting, or like they're becoming like felt on top, so little fur balls. When you have longer fibers, wool fibers, then this is not happening so much. Same goes for cotton, and sometimes also polyester. I think like everything thread based, yarn based. Exactly. So we can activate also the pilling option here to achieve this effect as well. You can see, depending on the thickness of your yarn here, again, you can change also these parameters, and then it would give you these bumps or while you're doing this with the knitwear. So maybe this is too much for me. So maybe we can lower the thickness of the pilling effects here, and the frequency I can also maybe lower a little bit. So it's not that obvious, just a little effect here that you can see. For example, here I have this thing here. Okay, yeah, these are, I think, it's not everything. Okay, that was just the yarn variants. Actually, I will turn the pilling off. This is a little bit too much for me here. I think without the pilling, it looked a little bit nicer. Okay, then there's this option, generate seams, but I think to show you this a little bit better, let's apply these settings that we just did also for the second fabric here, for the knit, which is the main amount of the main fabric here of the sweater. So I will just do the same before, then I can show you this with the seams a little bit better. That's why. Let's do this, what we just learned. So we're changing to the tab knitwear, the type, And I think we can stay with stockinette. I think this is 2 and a gauge by 9.4. Let's do it here as well, see how it looks. 9.4. It's a little bit too much, maybe. Let's do a little bit less. Maybe 6. It's too fine, I think. It doesn't really match that well with the collar. It's getting better, maybe a little bit less. 4. Yeah, okay. This is workable to me. Okay, then let's give it some colors here. I would color it the same as before. So I will use these 4 ply color tabs here and apply slightly different red tones to the ply. You can also just like change it to 1 ply and then just use one material, one color. But I will do it like this. Let's see how it looks like. Yeah, it's okay, but it's in total a little bit darker than my color. So I will just do a bit more changes here out of the dark colors here, a little bit more, maybe like this. Okay. Looks okay to me. What else? Let's put in the irregularity. What did I put in here? Scale 0.5 and frequency 0.2. So I want to do the same here as well. So we have a little irregularity. Okay. Yeah. So to show you what happens with the generate seams, I want to make quickly this sleeve and avatar invisible. So when I am here in my fabric again, my knit fabric, in this case for the main one, there is this option that says generate seams. And to quickly show you what it does, as you can see here on the inside of my sleeve where my shoulders my shoulders are sewn together, there is this seam line here. When I turn this off, you can see that this seam line becomes invisible. So it looks like the knitwear is kind of directly attached to each other. And with the seam, then you can make it visible that yeah, both of these parts are kind of connected together with this with the seam, kind of like seam allowance. Here you can also change this a little bit, the length of it, and yeah, how much it's curved. No, this is not so good. So you can play around a little bit, and because yeah, it's a visual tool, basically you can do something that makes most sense to you. So it looks the best way for you. I think I have to go with full curvature, and then the length here, I think it was set to 5 millimeter. Okay. Yeah, so this is basically these are all the functions that we have to use, or that we can change for our realistic knitwear function. Something else that I can quickly show you, if you want, you can also just watch. Let me quickly create a new material. No, No, let me actually change the one that we have. So I will quickly change the ply amount to 1 and get rid of my color. I just put this to white. And now I want to come in down below here underneath the generate seam. So it says base color, and there to my base color map. Because we can not only change the color of the individual yarns or the plies, but we can also import an image that is then translated into this knitwear, which is super cool. If you have like an image that you want to look like that it's knitted, the image that I want to use for this to show you is located here in the Skill Up Knitwear Materials folder again. And here we have 2 images, one with these Christmas trees. I don't know out of my head now what is called in English, the type of tree. And then we have this also with these snow houses here. So we can just take the images, one of the images here, and we can drag and drop this into our base color map section here. So I will just drag and drop this here. And then you can see that my image gets repeated here on as knitwear. And I mean, here the image is quite clear, but here you can see that the image is translated into the knitwear loops, which is super cool, I think. So now I want to use my edit texture 2D tool or this fabric tool and can click on it as we normally do with textures that are laying here on top of our pattern pieces. And I just want to scale this up. And then I like to do this in the 3D window because here we have the same function, this fabric texture tool. And then I can just organize my textures here from the patterns here in 3D a little bit better. This gives me a little bit more control, I feel. So for example, like this, it's maybe a little bit, it's a little bit too small still. So let me do it like this, because then I can really match my knitwear pattern here as well. And also on my sleeves. Okay, this is not working perfectly, but you get the point. So if your image is a little bit better in the beginning, then you can kind of make this a seamless print that also goes over the shoulders. So this you can also do. The same thing would be if we bring in the other image here, which is kind of the same. So I can scale this up. Let me scale this up. There we go. So here you have then this texture with the houses. And the houses I can also kind of match here that it goes completely around. Sorry. Yeah, so this is basically the functionalities that we have here with the knitwear. I think there are already a lot of possibilities on how to manipulate it and that you can have a nice play around with. It's obviously not perfect and it's missing some functions that you would normally have in the knitwear industry. This is what we have right now, and you can look forward to what's coming in the future, and there will be stuff coming, so you can be excited. Okay, I will quickly change my colors again. I just wanted to show you because I want to use my red colors again, like this. Okay, So now we know how to do the knitwear part, and now we can focus here on the rest of this exercise for today. Hopefully, I'm trying to finish at 4. Hopefully, we can make it this fast. I will hurry up. So the first thing I want to do is I want to add this the dog patch here. The dog patch is located in our training folder here in the SkillUp Knitwear Maps. And there's one folder that is called Happy Holidays Dog Patch. So this I can open up, and it has all the maps that we would need to have for this. Nicely created for us. So I want to bring in, I put in the names here in the end. The first one, the most important one, is the texture, the main texture, or it's also called base color. So this is what I need or want to drag and drop here in the graphic tab in my object browser. So there it is. And then from my graphic tab here, I will drag and drop this on top of my front pattern. Now our dog is probably super big. So it's loading, it's loading, it's loading. There we go. And I tested this out beforehand, so I can directly tell you what to put in to make this smaller. You don't have to do this by hand. You can just quickly click on the graphic here in the object browser, scroll down to the bottom where it says graphic transformation, width and height. You can activate to lock the aspect ratio if you want to, but you don't have to. You can also just type in here for width 15 centimeters. And for the height, I want to put in 15 centimeters as well. So now we have it already here quite well from the size. Now I just want to bring it here in the form that is already created for us, so it fits as good as possible. But if it's not fitting perfectly, that's also fine. I can also make it a tiny bit smaller. Maybe you want to rearrange it a little bit for your needs. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, then basically we can also take the textures that we have from the rest of our folder here. The next one here, for example, is the normal map. And I can drag and drop my normal map here in the normal map section. The displacement map in the displacement map section. Then we have the opacity map channel. And the last thing here is the roughness. For the roughness, that if you want to put in the texture, we have to change this here from intensity from this drop down to a map, and then drag and drop the roughness map here in the roughness map section. Okay. So far, so good. We connected all the maps. Now we have a few problems here. And that is that our knitwear is so thick that the print here kind of is not showing, because it's kind of in the middle or underneath the material, the knitwear material. So if I get rid of this, you can see it's also not on the back side. So it's really in the middle of the knitwear material. This. So, and for this to bring out to the front, because we want to have this on top of the knitwear, we have to click with our graphic tool here on our our dog patch here. And this brings up a different property editor, as you know, and there's this option that is called the Z offset. So we want to change here the Z offset to 1.5. And let's see if this is already good enough. Yes, it works. Maybe it can be a little bit more depending on the yarn thickness and the gauge, I believe also, that you have put in here. Here, actually, now it can be also a little bit more, maybe 5.5. So you are not seeing here these the yarns sticking out through the patch. So it looks natural and realistic. 1.7 maybe. Perfect. Now it sits directly on top of my knitwear, and this is actually how we want to have it. Okay. So this is how you can put a patch like this in this Christmas style sweater here on top of the knitwear. You have to change the Z offset for this graphic. Something that we also need to change because we haven't done this. So now we are not clicking on the graphic, but we are clicking on the in the graphic tab here in the object browser on the graphic. And now we have to scroll till we see the displacement map that we put in beforehand. And by default, the amount of the displacement from this map is set to 0. So to actually see something happening here in the render later, we have to put in a number, like how far we want things to stand out from the displacement map. And the displacement, the particle distance setting for this displacement, because I tested beforehand, we have to also change to 1, from 4 to 1. So amount 3 millimeters, particle distance 1, and then we are good to go. Yeah, a higher gauge would be nice. We're working on it, but for the moment, 16 is the maximum. Yeah, hopefully in the future. Okay. So this then, this is our patch for the dog here. Then this is finished. Hopefully you could follow if I was not quick enough. If I was too quick, sorry. But then let's go with the other things. We also have this tree fabric here that we actually want to put on our tree patches. So it's already applied, but it doesn't have any maps yet. So here we want to go again into our library in the training folder where we previously had our dogs. So we go one folder up, and then there's a folder that is called boucle fabric. And it has all the maps that we would need for this material. So I can just quickly drag and drop all the textures in the corresponding channels. I'll just quickly do this. Displacement, can directly put in, I don't know, 1.5 millimeters, let's say. Particle distance, I can also put 1 or 2, let's say 2, 1, let's say 1. And then there is no opacity map. Okay, then there's only the roughness map here. There we go. And the metalness map is also already applied. Okay, I will just do it again. Good. Then we can have a look at this in the 3D window as well. At the moment, you can see that the tree patches are strengthened. We want to keep them strengthened, but in case you didn't know this, you can just like in the empty space of your 3D viewer, you can right click, you can come down to show hide color, and then you can basically make specific things like When a part is frozen, it becomes light blue, as you know. When it's strengthened, it becomes like orange. Solidify is a little bit gray, I believe. And layers are displayed in this bright neon yellow. This you can then hide here. So show hide color, and then I would say hide all. And then you can see so it's still strengthened or frozen, like the beret, for example, but you don't see it like this anymore. So this is super helpful, I think. And for us to see now for the tree patches, what is going on underneath, so our material, this was also quite good to do here. But one last thing that we are doing here differently than on the dog patch is that we here also want to apply an additional material. So we want to change the material here from the type from fabric mat to fur in this place, in this case. And I think we can just use plush, I believe it was, and get rid of the color here. And this, the side material should also be same color as front. Yeah. Okay, let me quickly check if this does what I wanted to do. So I need to check, because it's a fur material, I need to check in the render. Otherwise I cannot see it. We are working also on a possibility to change this, by the way, that you don't have to go into the render all the time. Quick tip. Getting more complicated for the computer, because now he has to calculate. Oh, wow, this is super extreme. Too much. But I think it's the length of the hair. Let me put this to 1 millimeter, maybe. Way better, way better. Okay. So if I really zoom in, then I can see now I have a little bit of a plushy effect here on the trees. You can do this how you want, of course. I'm just showing you how you can combine these things together. But you can do it as you like. So fluffy that you cannot see the trees anymore. Yeah. Okay, but it basically works. So this is all I wanted. So our tree material is it's done as well. Now it's already 4 p.m. and I still have a few things to tell you. Hopefully that's okay for you. If you have to leave, I'm sorry. Otherwise, bear with me like 10 minutes or something to explain you the rest, and then we're good to go. Okay, so I want to create a new top stitch to actually get these plushy cables here for the lights. So I will create a new top stitch. It's also super easy to do. And I want to call this cable light, or you can call it whatever you want. Then what I want to do is I want to change the offset, because I want the top stitch that I will apply here, I want to be I want to put this directly on the internal line of these, what is here already put in. So I will change the offset from 0.16 centimeter. I want to put to 0 so that the top stitch is directly on the internal line. Then basically the only thing that I really want to change is I want to go here again into the material type. And for the top stitch, I'm also selecting fur. So this is the funny trick here. And for the fur preset, I will change this to terry cloth. And then I can also change quickly my color to something that looks, I don't know, similar to our Christmas tree patches here. So maybe this type of, a little bit blunter green. And then I want to apply my top stitch to this internal line. Can completely go around and then finish it here on this side. I think I have to wait a little bit until it's calculated. Yeah, are we done? There we go. So now I have this top stitch here in the 3D viewer. This is again not really visible because it's, the fur parameters here are only showing in the render. So don't worry. If we wanted to, we could also change the Z offset here for this top stitch. If you really wanted this to be on top of your knitwear, then we have to do the same thing here as with the dog. How much was it? 1.7 millimeters, I believe. So it sits directly on top of the knitwear. I want to do the same step kind of again. I want to apply this new top stitch that we created on the other side here of the front, on the other side where the lights will go. We can also quickly do this in the back if you want to. So there it says Merry Christmas. So we can also do this here like this. And the rest we have to do a little bit by hand in fewer sections, kind of. Just like this. So second R, and then here is the long one for the nice Y. Okay. Same thing here. I have to select the top stitches that I just created, and I'm holding down Shift to select them all at once. And then I will change the offset here also to 1.7. So it also sits on top of my knitwear. And that is already it for this Merry Christmas thing. Sometimes you might notice that these top stitches are giving you this weird issues. For example, this happens when you have the super tight curves here. Then sometimes it can happen that these top stitches are not visible perfectly. For this to change, probably you want to put in 2 top stitches, so like separate them. Instead of just having one that goes through the curve, you have to put in 2. But for us now, with all the fur settings, it's not a problem and it's not visible in the end anyway. So we can keep it. Oh, I forgot to change the Z offset. I just see of the right side of my cable here, 1.7. There we go. Now it's also on top of the knitwear here. Okay. Then we can quickly have a look how this looks like in the render. So I want to actually, can I stop this? We can change the image size here a little bit. Now it's calculating, okay. Let me stop it again. What is my image size? Actually 1600 by 720. Just so that my computer runs a little bit faster, I will make this smaller. It's not as detailed for you then, but you get the point, I guess. You can change it to something else on your computer if you want to. Just because I'm streaming the video and rendering kind of at the same time, it makes it a little bit faster for me. Or for us, actually. You're also watching. Takes a while. The more fur and knitwear we add, the slower it gets. That's how it works. There we go. Now if I zoom in here to my cables, you can see that we have a nice furry top stitch here. And if I come to my back, that's now also saying nicely Mary on top of the sweater, which is super cool. I think that's a good trick. That's nice that Celia found this out. This looks super cool for this decorative stitches kind of. Okay, we're almost done. The only thing that we are missing are the lights for our cable lights here. And for this, actually, it's also quite easy to do. We can just do it on the front if you want. We don't have to do it on the back, so you just understand how this works. For this, we will go to our object browser and we will switch to the trim tab. And there is already a trim inside. It's called light trim. And the light trim now we want to apply to all these colorful patches kind of that have been created here already. And we just want to glue them on top of these small patches here. So I just want to bring this in, drag and drop from my library, from my object browser here into my scene. And where is it actually? Okay. Drag and drop this in the 3D window. Then you should be able to see the gizmo. If you don't click so much like I do, then you see it. In my case here, the trim is now located here on the 0 point, so on the 0 coordinates on the ground. And now if you zoom into this little trim object here, so it's just like a pearl kind of, or like a light bulb, super small. There is this little glue bottle here next to the scale option here, and we will click on the glue bottle once, so it lights up in blue. And then I want to come to this, or like to any of these places here where we want to have the light, and then just click on the pattern, and then it's glued on top of this pattern piece. As you can see here now is a cross almost looking like a button. So I just put this here on in this location. And this basically now we have to repeat. So I can make a copy of this by, I just clicked on the trim again, pressed Control C and Control V, or you can also right click on it and say copy. Then you go to the other side here and you can say paste. And then it basically comes up also with the glue bottle again, or the placement of the gluing function. And then you can see, if I zoom out, that I placed my second trim light here on the next one. And this we can then just repeat, Control V, put it on the next one, wait for it to calculate, Control V, place the next one. Calculate. There we go. And here's one, Control V. I'll put it here on the side as well. And I quickly also want to do this on the other side of the front, but I will leave out the back because, yeah, you get the point. So just stick it on all of these little patches. Okay. And here. Come on, place it. There we go. Or let me just do one more and then, yeah, you understand what it's about. So we can save a little bit of time. I don't want to waste your time. Okay, good. So we have a few lights here. So the only important thing here that we really need, so this was about the placement of trims, and they will also stick there. So also if you change now the poses or if you do something with animation, the trims, because of the glue bottle, will always stay here in place and, yeah, wobble around this patch here. The only thing that we have to do apart from this is actually to make the light a light. So we have to, or it was already done here, but the material type was in this case changed to light. So previously by default it's fabric matte and it was changed to light. So you can basically make an object or a material into a light, basically. So it's it's sending out light to the outer world. You get what I'm saying. So it's shining. You can put in a specific color, of course, for the light, and I believe that you should also be able to say how bright you want to have this, but I think I'm not sure. Is it the color multiplier underneath it that makes it then stronger or less strong, shining? But yeah, let's leave it at this. It was already put in for us, so we don't have to do this. And now this is then the final step. If it intensifies the shines. Yeah, okay, thank you, Konstantin. We can test if our lights are working. If we are going to our render again, and now we can start the preview here. And fingers crossed, if you have done everything correctly, our lights should be shining. Takes a while again. There we go. Yes, you're welcome. Buku, Bursu, Buku. There we go. Our lights are shining and they are emitting here also to our other materials. So this is basically what we wanted to achieve here. Let me stop this for now, because this basically concludes everything that we wanted to show you. It was not all like completely about knitwear, I know. Hopefully that was okay for you, because otherwise it would just have been too short and we wanted to show you some other tricks as well. Hopefully you learned something. I will go through your polls later, your questions. Yeah, if you have questions right now and you have a little bit more time, feel free to leave them in the chat. I can stay here until 4:30 if you want and answer some questions. If not, thank you so much for listening. This was our Q4 Skill Up for this year. It was a little bit late, I know. We still wanted to do this. We will probably see you in the next one, Q1 2025, which will, I don't know, yeah, happen in Q1. Probably we see each other again. Otherwise, I wish you all the best for the holidays. Merry Christmas to you if you're celebrating Christmas. My camera is not functioning again. Thank you for listening, and I see you in the next one. Lenora, you can make the light shine in a different color. Yes, if you go to the light trim, you can basically just change here the color of the light, for example, to red as well, and then you would have a red light. Is it not? It's slow, 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 slow. Uh-oh. Right at the end. Okay. Now it's crashing. Okay. Okay. I will just stop here. No, oh, it worked. It worked. It just needed a lot of time. Okay. Anyway, let me stop my screen sharing. My camera was not in the mood for working today. Sorry for that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I will go through your questions and we try to consider it for the next one and try to come up with a good topic for the next one. Wish you all the best and see you soon, guys. Bye bye.